So what I want from you guys is to determine in this first question, you're going to try it by yourselves, the value of x. I always forget my instructions. I don't know why, it's just a thing I always forget. So let's just say here, the value of x. So that's one way we can phrase it. We could also phrase it the unknown angles. Sometimes it's sides, sometimes it's angles, mostly angles though. So that is my instruction for you for this question. I want to know what is the value of x / our unknown angles. You guys know the drill. Answer in the chat with the reason, please. I need to see the reason. Let's give this one a try. So remember, look at your diagram, look at what information I've given you, how is it useful, and see how you can then use that information to get the answer that you want. I'm gonna have another cough just in case. Okay, so guys, I hope we're trying this one. I want the value of x. Like I say, look at what information you have, how is it useful to you to get that x value. And remember, we're solving for x. I need x equals something. Not seeing any answers yet. As I said, Lundeka's on it. Okay, so guys, remember, like Yolanda always tells you, write everything down that you can mark when we go through. Remember your reasons as well, grade 8s. We've discussed this before, but remember, if you leave off a reason, you can lose half the marks for the question. And that's a really silly reason to lose marks. Alrighty. Would anyone like to raise their hand to explain this one for us? No pressure if you don't, but if anyone would like to raise their hand to explain it, you can raise your hand now. Otherwise, I'll do it. We're feeling shy on Wednesday, grade 8s. Okay. All right. So like I say, we need to look at what information the question gives us and how it's useful to us. The first thing that I'm seeing is the fact that I've got the square on my diagram. Now remember, the square means 90 degrees. So technically what I have going on in like this whole scenario is I know 90, I know 40, and technically I have an expression for that last angle there. And what that therefore means is that all three of those angles that I have information about are angles on a straight line. They're all adjacent angles. Remember, that's very important. They need to be adjacent or angles next to each other on a straight line. And so what that means is when I add them all up, I must get 180 degrees. And so through looking at my diagram, looking at what information I have, I know what reason I'm going to use. Remember, we make our statement, so 6x plus 2 degrees plus 40 plus 90 must equal 180 degrees. And then I always give my reason. So here my reason is angles on a straight line. Now guys, remember, abbreviate. Don't try and write the reason out in full. Reason being is you don't want to waste time in a test or in an exam. And sometimes these reasons do get a bit long. So where we can shorten them, let's just shorten them. Right, now we're going to solve our equation. Now we did equations, or we recapped equations on Monday, so this should also be fresh in your head. And you can also see how much sections actually link with each other in maths. Now that which I've highlighted in green, so the 2 degrees, the 40 degrees, and the 90 degrees, they're all like terms, which means that I can add them together. So 2 plus 40 is 42, plus 90 is 132. So I've got 6x plus 132 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. Inverse operations tells me to subtract 132 on both sides of my equation. Excuse me. And that gives me 6x is equal to 48 degrees. Now remember guys, my goal is to solve for x. So I need to divide both sides by that 6 because I don't want that coefficient there. I just want x. And so x is equal to 8 degrees, as a lot of you put there. All right, so hopefully now that you can see that you do know what you're doing, you're getting this right, I'll maybe have a volunteer or two for the next question. The angles on a straight line, and we get that x is equal to 8. There's nothing too tricky there. Look at what information you have and see how it's going to help you. Alrighty. Need to add some labels to the next one. I'm going to put the second question up. We're going to try it, and then if you need to take screenshots of things, you can do that once we're done. I'm just going to add some labels here to these lines, guys, because I realized earlier that some labels is quite useful, and it's very annoying when people don't add labels. This is not my own fault. Right, so same thing again. Just want the value of x. What you need to be careful of here, though, guys, is what information you have. Now, again, it's not super clear on this diagram, so I'm just going to make it a bit clearer. AB is parallel to CD. Okay, there are arrows on there, but they're not very clear. So AB is parallel to CD. So look at the fact that I've given you parallel lines. Look at the information that you have, and let's see if we can get a value of x. Once again, I want you to give this one a try. Let's see what we come up with. Remember, answer with reason, please. And remember, guys, in a test or in an exam, that question paper is yours to do with what you want. So if you need to be doing scribbles or highlighting or drawing or whatever on your question paper, do it. Alrighty. Whatever helps you get to answer, that's all we care about. So I, to this day, still use highlighters when I do geometry and colors. I just find it visually very helpful. If it doesn't help you, then don't do it. That's obviously absolutely fine. But find methods that work for you and use them. excuse me, remember to put in your reasons for your answers. Sorry guys, I don't know if my screen went off there for a second. I apologize. I'm going to give you 1 more minute and then we're going to have a look. So let's get those answers in. Maybe 2 more minutes. This is a slightly more complex one. Hey guys, let's have a look. Okay, so like I said, this one definitely more complicated, and you'll see why now in a second. So the first thing, like I tell you, identify what information I've given you. How is it useful to you? Is it even useful to you? Hint, we give you information because it's useful. It's very rare that we just give you nonsense. If I've given you a piece of information, parallel lines, equal sides, whatever, it's going to be useful. You need to use it. So I have given you the fact that AB is parallel to CD. Okay, so that automatically means I need to start thinking about alternate angles, corresponding angles, co-interior angles, all of those. Now, if we go for a corresponding angle situation, all right, so let's start off with, let's say, for example, this F shape over here. That's great because I know the 7x minus 20, but I've got no clue about this angle FED. Okay, so that's a bit of a problem. I'll just go straight to the answer there. If I now go and have a look at another F, so let's go, I don't know why I wanted to do that. Let's do this F over here. Again, I've got this 4x plus 16, awesome, but I don't know AFE. Bit of a problem. Now, there are actually a couple ways that you can answer this question. So when you're checking your answers, make sure that you're sort of more or less using your parallel lines correctly, or you are using your parallel line reasons correctly. And obviously make sure you get the same answer. But like I said, there are a couple ways that you can do this question. So for me, what I am sort of seeing that I can work with was this first F that I showed you here. And the reason I'm saying I can work with it is because I can see that that angle 4x plus 16 is vertically opposite to the angle FED. And if I can get that angle FED, it makes it much easier for me to go and work with the F shape or the corresponding angles. Now, guys, remember, you have to write everything down. You've got no options. You have to write everything down that you do. So angle FED, we're not too sure where angle FED is. It's this one over here with the circle on it. FED, let's just fix the situation. Oops. So here's FED. FED, we've just said, is equal to 4x plus 16 degrees, and my reason is vert-op angles. Okay, now that's useful to me because, like I say, now that we know that this is 4x plus 16, I've got my corresponding angles. And so now I can go and say, therefore, 7x minus 20, and remember, corresponding angles are equal, is equal to 4x plus 16 degrees. My reason here, corresponding angles. Remember, for any parallel line reason, you have to state the parallel line. So here, AB is parallel to CD. And now we're going to solve. So I'm going to bring that 4x over, making it minus 4x. I'm going to bring the minus 20 over to the right, making it positive 20. 7x minus 4x is 3x is equal to 16 plus 20, which is 36. I want to divide both sides by 3 in order to get x alone. And so x is equal to 12 degrees. I don't like how I've written that. Let me try that again. I apologize. X is equal to 12 degrees. Alrighty. So this example is an important one because it shows you that sometimes it's not a simple case of just getting your answer immediately. You actually need to do a little bit of work, before you can get your answer. And that's fine. But what you need to then remember is that you are writing everything down. So I always tell my kids, treat geometry when you're doing a test or an exam, that the person who's going to read your test or exam knows nothing about geometry. You need to write every single thing down so that they can follow exactly what you've done and get to the same answer that you've gotten. You're leaving out steps and you're making assumptions, or you're leaving out very important information, and we can't do that. All right, so guys, if you have any questions about the first or second questions, you can raise your hand and ask me. Otherwise, take a screenshot and then we're going to move on to another. Remember, grade 8 as well, if you do have questions throughout the course of an example, whatever, whether you're trying it by yourself or whether I'm doing it, just pop it on the chat and we'll help you. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so no questions from these first two. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Alrighty. Let's do, right. Oh, sorry. Let's have a look at the third one here. I just want to see what I had available. I want you to try the third question. What I need you to bear in mind is that there's two angles that I'm now asking for. I'm asking for angle X up at vertex B, and I'm asking for angle Y down at vertex D. So there's two angles I need an answer for. In the chat, I should see an answer X equals with a reason and Y equals with a reason. Again, look at what information I've given to you. Look at why it's useful, because whatever I give you is useful. You must use it. It's there for a reason. And see how that's going to help you get your answer. Okay, so let's try question 3. Remember your reasons. Remember to take careful note of what information I have actually given you in the diagram. And again, you're solving for X and Y. Again, remember reasons. Okay, guys, and remember, try and use the reasons that you've used to double check yourself, or even if you use another geometric reason to check yourself, that's always a good point. So for example, we know that angles in a quadrilateral should add up to 360 degrees. So once you have the two answers, add all four of those angles together and make sure you get 360. It's a quick way to check yourself. And in geometry, there are sometimes ways that you can check your answer when you have knowledge of the shape that you're working with or whatever. And to try and use that knowledge to double check your answers. I'm getting some mixed options here. So, okay, let's keep going. We'll check in a minute or so. Excuse me. Couple more seconds. Okay, guys, so let's have a look. So again, look at what information I've given you and see why it's useful. So the bit of information that I've given you is the fact that the line AB is parallel to the line DC. Okay, that's quite important. I now need to be thinking of corresponding co-interior alternate angles. I have also been given angle A is 112 and angle C is 63. Okay, so if we now go to this whole parallel line situation, hopefully what we're seeing is that we're working with co-interior angles. I'm going to start with X. If you started with Y, it makes no difference. But what we see is we have this backwards C shape. And so what that tells me is that X plus 63 degrees must be equal to 180 degrees. Remember, co-interior angles are not equal to each other. They are supplementary, so they add up to 180. My reason, co-interior angles, and remember to state your parallel lines. So AB is parallel to CD. Solve my equation. I'm going to subtract 63 on both sides, which gives me 117 degrees. So X is 117 degrees. Now, in order to get Y, you've got two options. Option number one is you can use the fact that angles in a quad add up to 360 degrees. And so you could say Y plus 112 plus 117 plus 63 must give you 360. And your reason sum of angles in a quad, you will get 4 marks. The other reason that you can use is another pair of co-interior angles. So now the C shape in orange. We therefore know that Y plus 112 must give me 180. Same reason, co-interior angles with the same parallel lines. Sorry. And so we're going to subtract 112 on both sides, telling us that Y is equal to 68 degrees. It's really important, you guys, co-interior angles are not equal to each other. They are supplementary. You could have used angles in a quad for the second angle. That's absolutely fine. I actually often forget about that reason, so I don't use it often, but it is a good one to remember. All right, grade 8, any questions? Take your screenshots if you don't have any questions. for those who are going to take a little brain break. I hope you enjoy my math joke today. It's like popped up on my like social media platforms quite a few times, which tells you a lot about what I look at on social media. But I hope you enjoy the math joke. Alrighty. Sorry, I just wanted to double check a couple of things. Right, so brain break. You guys know the drill. What we are wanting to do is find the value of that last equation at the bottom there. Please look very carefully at the pictures. I made a mistake in the last lesson and didn't actually look at the pictures properly. So take careful note of where there's 2, where there's 1, and let's see if we can get a value for that last one. You know how it works. First person to get it right on the chat will explain it for us. Excuse me. So have a look there, and like I say, I hope you enjoy the math stroke for today's lesson. I thought it was quite funny. Thank you, Bonolo. Like I say, I've seen it pop up a few times, and I just think it's hilarious. There's also one, it's more like a science joke or like a natural science joke, but there's like a cell from like a body or a plant cell, whatever, and it's taking a selfie, but like selfie. I also think it's really funny. I'll put it up next time, even though it's not a math joke. I clearly have a weird sense of humor because I just enjoy math jokes. Okay, so guys, remember brain break, it's like solving an equation. It's like what we have been doing the whole of our equation section, the whole of Monday's lesson, solving an equation. So I need to know what the donut is worth, what the cookie is worth, and what the cake is worth in order to figure out what that final value is. Yeah, I'm gonna give you another minute or two. I'm not seeing any answers on the chat. Yeah, that's how I say it. I just have to start talking and then you guys give me answers. Chantal, you were indeed the first one to get that correct. Would you like to explain it for us? You can pop your hand up so I can unmute you if you would. Nice, Chantal, well done.
Evening, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, so I got the donuts by saying 27 divided by 3, which gave me 9.
Good.
And ma'am, for the donuts, I said 9 times 2, which is 18.
Nice.
Ma'am, then I said 274 times 18. Then I divided by 2 and 2 again, and then I got 16.
Okay, so the double cookie is 16. Good.
Ma'am, and then I said 16 times 16, which gave me 258. And then I said no, it was 256, ma'am.
Good.
And then I said 268 minus 256, which gave me 12.
Perfect.
Then in total, I said 18 plus 6 times 8.
Good.
Ma'am, and then I said 6 times 8, which plus 18, which is equals to 66.
Perfect. Well done. Okay, so guys, please take notes, like Chantal had said, where there's doubles. And when there's double, exactly as Chantal did, we times it by 2. So I made a really silly mistake in the last lesson. I didn't see that this was only 1 cake. I thought it was 2. I was not focused. So really important to read your question carefully. Chantal, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Well done. And guys, exactly, your answer is 66 there. Nice, well done. Okay, let us do some more geometry. I want to give you a nice meaty one. Just try and find, okay, let's do this one over here. So you're going to try it by yourself. I'm saying that's a nice meaty one because there's 4 angles you need to find. But angle A that you need to find, you have got angle B that you need to find, you've got angle C that you need to find, and you've got angle D that you need to find. So let's do our best. Let's get those 4 angles. Remember, each angle needs to be accompanied with a reason, please. Let's see what we get. And guys, these are the types of questions you can expect in a test, right? 100%. We'll start you off easy with a nice sort of basic, only solve for 1 variable, but then we're going to give you ones where you solve for at least 3 or 4. Sometimes there's even like a set test and scene test where there's like 6 or 7 different angles that you need to find. And so it's really important that we are able to work with multiple unknowns and find them. Okay, so take a look at what I've given you. Take a look at how it's useful to you. How can you get your answers here? Remember, you don't have to start with A. You can start with any letter that you want, completely up to you. But at the end of the day, as long as I get A, B, C, D in any order, I'm happy. Yeah, do you think you'll need a little bit of time? So let's see how we go. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat for both questions as well as to see how quickly, slowly you guys are going. So go with it and then we'll see. Excuse me. Guys, remember throughout geometry, I told you to take screenshots of reasons and then make your own sort of reason information sheet. So if you have that handy, whip it out and use it as you're doing these questions. Because this is exactly the time when you should be using it. Please let's remember reasons as well. We're doing nicely so far, grade 8. Keep those answers coming. Nice, Eva. You know how much I love all your answers at the same time with those perfect reasons. Well done. Nice, Jason. You guys have done this one fast. Well done. I'm going to give everyone another minute or two and we'll have a look. And again, guys, you don't have to start with A. Start with what you see first and you go from there. Only time you have to do things in alphabetical order is if we say answer the question in alphabetical order. If we don't, you can do it in any order that makes sense to you. Okay, one more minute. All right, I am going to ask if anyone wants to raise their hand. Please don't raise your hand yet, but if you want to, start getting yourself mentally prepared. Okay, right. Would anyone like to raise their hand to explain? You don't have to do all four, just one of them. Any of those angles? Anyone like to explain? Nice and Kululeko.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I would like to do D.
Okay, cool.
Ma'am, D is equal to 48 degrees. A reason is vertically opposite angles.
Alrighty, so just be careful. Remember, vertically opposite angles is when we have that cross shape and they are then vertically opposite to each other. Here we don't quite have that cross shape. So if, let's say, for example, those angles extended, then we would potentially have vertically opposite angles here. But here we've just got that straight line. So just be very careful with your vert up angles, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good, Nkululeko. Sorry, I'm just pushing buttons. Chantella, I'm going to come to you now. Just give me 2 seconds. I know you've unmuted. Alrighty. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Ma'am, can I please also do D?
Okay.
Ma'am, I said 48 plus 26 plus X is equals to 180. The reason is LS on a straight line.
Okay, awesome reason. That's perfect. We do need to have A first in order for us to do that. Okay,
Oh,
so
ma'am,
absolutely fine. Yeah.
let me do A.
Okay, so how do you get A?
Ma'am, I said 144 degrees plus X is equals to 180, which are co-interior angles.
Say it again for me, sorry.
Ma'am, I said 154 degrees plus X is equals to 180 is equals to co-interior angles.
Nice. I didn't even see that. Well done. Okay, so guys, I did not even see this, and that's why this is so much fun. Okay, so well done, Chantal. Here's our co-interior angles that Chantal is talking about. So there's that U shape, which means that exactly A plus 154 must equal to 180 co-interior angles. PS parallel to, what is that, PR? And so A is equal to
26.
26 degrees.
Yes. Ma'am.
Perfect. Okay, so do D again for us.
Then I said 48 plus 26 plus x is equals to 180.
Perfect. So guys, now that we do know what A is, we can use the 180. And Chantal, your reason there again?
Is angles on a straight line.
Perfect. Angles on a straight line. Now, 48 and 26 are like terms. So if we add those together, we get
74.
70. Thank you. Because my brain's not working as fast as yours. And so D, Chantal, is equal to?
106 degrees.
Perfect. Well done. Okay, so there we go, guys. 2 birds on stone. We got A and we got D from Chantal. Chantal, do you want to carry on? Because I don't see any other hands.
Ma'am, I have C.
Okay, let's do C.
Ma'am, I said 154 plus C is equals to 180.
And your reason?
Ma'am, I said angles on a straight line.
Perfect. And so what is C equal to?
C is equals to 26.
Perfect. What other angle was also equal to 26, Chantal?
Ma'am, it was A.
Okay, good. So guys, another way that you could have actually found C is through alternate angles. So here's your Z shape. And so A and C are alternate. Yeah. A and C are alternate angles to each other. So you could have used that as a reason as well. I would have done exactly the same thing as Chantal and used angles on a straight line. Good. Do you have B as well?
No, ma'am.
Alrighty. Thank you, Chantal. Well done.
Thank you, ma'am.
I see Nkululeko is here to help us out. Nkululeko, do you have B for us? Oh, sorry. I thought I hadn't unmuted you. You're gonna have to unmute again. Sorry. There we go.
Ma'am, B is 106 plus 24 plus C plus B equals 180 degrees.
Good. And what's your reason?
Some angles of a triangle.
Perfect. Sorry, guys, I'm doing it on the side here, but it's okay. I just have run out of space. Sum of angles in triangle. Okay, cool. So what is B equal to?
B is equal to 48. Because
Yeah,
because ma'am, you plus the like terms.
good. Okay, exactly, guys. So we've got some like terms here that we can add together, and then we solve that equation. Exactly as Nkululeko said, though, B is equal to 48 degrees. Excellent, Nkululeko. Well done. All right, guys. Another reason that you could have used there for B, if you wanted to, you obviously don't have to. There's lots of different ways that we could do this. Is there's an F shape here, and so that means that the 48 and the B are corresponding angles. So you could have used corresponding angles there, as was your reason. That's absolutely fine. Like I say, both will get you full marks. So there's no problem either way. Okay, very, very nicely done, grade 8. So let's take a screenshot of this, and then I'm going to give you one more. We'll see. I'm going to try to find a nice one. One more question, and then we will obviously wrap up, but this was very good. Well done. I'm just going to double check before we do look at another. Does anyone have any questions for me on this question? Otherwise, you're taking your screenshots. Okay, grade 8, no questions. Hope we've all got our screenshots. And again, guys, remember, lots of different reasons to do the same thing. So, I mean, like Chantal's co-interior angles for A, I did not even see that. And that's okay, because there were other ways to get A. All right. Okay, I just want to find a nice one for us here. So, I want you guys to... My body is failing me. I want you guys to try these last two for me. So in the first one that I've given you here, we've got angle T, or the value of T rather, that we need to find. And then in the second one, we've got X that we need to find. I'm giving you these two because you can't get straight to the answer. There's a little bit that you need to do before you can get to where you need to be. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Let's get some answers, and then I'm going to go through them. So you can start with any one that you want. You can start with the first one or the second one. It doesn't matter, because in the chat, you're going to give me X equals and then T equals. So it's two different variables. Doesn't matter where you want to start, but let's give this a go. Look at what information I've given you. Look at why it's useful to you, and then how is it going to help you get to T or to X. You know, guys, these sorts of questions are definitely the slightly harder questions that we would give you in an assessment, right? And so I think what happens is often we can get through like the first couple questions, but the second they start getting trickier, we panic and then we do silly things, right? So it's important for us to be able to tackle these challenge questions and find methods that are going to help us to get these questions correct. And that's why I'm saying break it down into what information do you have? Is it useful to you? It should be useful to you because I've given it to you. And then how are you going to use it to get to what you need? I'll give you a hint. T has a decimal, or T is a fraction. You can write it as a decimal or a fraction, preferably decimals in terms of angle sizes. That's my hint to you for T. Give you a minute or so. Okay, one more minute. Oh. Okay, guys, let's have a look. So I'm going to start with the first one just because it's first. If I have a look at what I have, T is in two different triangles. So it's in the big triangle ADB and it's in the smaller triangle ADC. But either way, I can't use sum of angles in a triangle because I don't have enough information. The only angles I've been given is this angle 30 and this angle 25. Now, what you need to see in this question is the fact that this angle DCA is an exterior angle to the triangle DBC. And so what that means is if I add 30 and 25, I get that exterior angle. So the angle DCA is equal to 55 degrees because 30 plus 25 is 55. Exterior angle of triangle. And what that now allows me to do is I can now work in the smaller triangle ADC to get T. Now, this is useful because we've got two equal sides. We know that AC is equal to CD, and so we know that the angles opposite are equal. So I know that angle ADC is equal to T as well. So both of these angles would be T. And so that is because of angles up equal sides. And now that I know that, I can set up my equation to solve for T. So T plus 55 must give me 180 degrees because of sum of angles in triangle. And so 2T is equal to 180 minus 55, which is 125. Divide both sides by 2 in order to get T alone. And so T is equal to 62.5 degrees. Just like I said, not hard by any means. There was just a little bit of work that we needed to do before we could just get to our answer. And like I say, this is often the case. Often we need to do a little bit before we can get our answer. Right, I will make it smaller again for you to take screenshots, but if we quickly do the second one, again, we're going to have to do a bit of work before we get there. First thing that I see is the fact that this 130 degrees is an exterior angle to the triangle QUP. And so what I know is that 130 is equal to whatever that angle U is plus this angle UPQ. Guys, lesson only ends at 7. I've got a minute. What I see is that these are vertically opposite. So the angle UPQ is equal to X because of vert-op angles. Okay, so if I just take my scribbles off, I now know that this angle in here is equal to X. And then I can set up my equation to solve. So I know that X plus 20 must be equal to 130 because of exterior angle of the triangle. And I can solve for X. So X plus X is 2X. 20 over is 110 degrees. Divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 55. So again, not hard questions, but there's a little bit of work that needs to be done before we can get to our answer. All right, guys, so take your screenshots.